Discussion and debate. Building an argument. Unit 1. Task A. Read and discuss. Listen to the reading and follow along in your textbook. The reading introduces the topic and some of the key ideas you will need to develop your argument. As you listen, think about your own views on the topic.
As technology becomes increasingly integrated into our lives, the use of text generation tools is changing the way we think and write. This change raises questions about how these tools affect our critical thinking and learning. Critical thinking is how we analyze information in a clear, logical way to make decisions and solve problems, and it is crucial to intellectual development. Some argue that these tools streamline routine tasks, thereby allocating more mental space for complex and thoughtful analysis. In academic research, for instance, these tools efficiently aggregate data, allowing scholars to delve deeper into analysis and interpretation, potentially enriching their intellectual engagement and discovery process. However, critics express concerns that excessive dependency on such technologies could erode essential reasoning abilities. They argue that habitual use of automated writing tools might reduce opportunities to practice and hone these fundamental skills. In educational contexts, the use of these technologies for writing tasks could hinder students' capacities to formulate their own ideas and critically examine information. For example, a student using a text generation tool for an English assignment might not learn how to interpret a text's themes or express personal viewpoints effectively. As the prevalence of text generation applications grows, it is crucial to balance their advantages with the potential risks they pose to critical thinking abilities.
Task B. Comprehension check. Consider each question and use information from the reading to develop your response. Think about how these ideas could be used to support either side of the argument. Task C. Vocabulary building. Complete the vocabulary activity. Pay attention to how each word or phrase is used, as you will be encouraged to use this vocabulary when you present your argument. Now check your answers. Task D. Useful idioms. Complete the idiom activity and check the meaning of each expression. Consider whether any of these expressions could be used naturally in your argument. Now check your answers. Then take the vocabulary and idioms quiz. Task E. Discussion language. Study the discussion language and complete the activity. Practice using these expressions to help you structure and communicate your argument clearly. Task F. For and against. Listen to both model arguments and follow along in your textbook. Notice how each speaker states a position, develops reasons, introduces evidence, and uses the language from the unit. Consider which arguments you find most convincing.
I believe that relying too heavily on text generation tools is undermining critical thinking skills. Students may learn less when AI completes tasks for them. Instead of engaging in the learning process, they may become overly dependent on technology, reducing opportunities for skill acquisition through independent effort. Before concluding that AI improves learning, we must consider whether students are developing knowledge themselves. This is particularly important because cognitive development depends on active participation. Cognitive development research published in Cognitive Processing in 2026 found greater cognitive offloading during AI-assisted tasks, raising concerns about independent critical reasoning. If students turn to AI for answers, they may spend less time solving problems, evaluating evidence, and reflecting on mistakes. Over time, these processes may weaken. AI reliance may also discourage students from exploring ideas or questioning their assumptions. AI can become a crutch, making difficult thinking seem unnecessary, instead of encouraging perseverance when solving unfamiliar problems independently. Although AI has a place in education, students should use it to support learning rather than replace independent thought. Excessive reliance on text generation tools can weaken critical thinking and prevent students from developing the independence and problem-solving abilities they need for future success.
The claim that text generation tools undermine critical thinking oversimplifies how people learn. Used appropriately, these systems can strengthen the learning process by helping students understand difficult concepts. AI can provide explanations, examples, feedback, and opportunities for revision while requiring students to think for themselves. While there is a correlation between increased AI use and changing study habits, it doesn't mean AI causes weaker thinking skills. Cognitive development research published in Learning and Instruction in 2025 found that students who engaged actively with AI chatbots demonstrated stronger critical thinking performance. This suggests that students can develop logical reasoning and analytical skills when they evaluate AI-generated responses rather than accepting them uncritically. AI can also encourage creative thinking by helping students generate ideas, compare viewpoints, and explore alternatives before forming conclusions. As technology becomes common, some degree of dependence is an inevitability, but responsible use does not prevent intellectual growth. With guidance, students can learn when to use AI and when to rely on their own judgment. Rather than cutting corners, they can use these tools to challenge ideas, improve their work, and deepen their understanding. When used this way, text generation tools can support critical thinking rather than replace it.
Task G, Comprehension Check. Answer the questions about the model arguments. Identify the speaker's positions and evidence, and practice challenging one of their points. This will help prepare you for the rebuttal task later. Task H, Springboard. Read the quotation and consider how it relates to the topic. Introduce the quote and explain what it demonstrates. Consider whether the quotation could be used to support your own argument. Task I, Exploring Evidence. Complete the evidence activity. Each unit introduces a different type of supporting evidence. Consider how this type of evidence can make an argument more convincing and how you could use it in your own argument. Now check your answers. Then take the evidence type quiz. Task J, supporting an argument. Develop a reason for your position and support it using the type of evidence introduced in this unit. This will give you practice connecting a reason with relevant supporting evidence. Task K, gathering data. Study the infographic and identify information that could support either side of the argument. Consider which facts or data would be most useful for supporting your own position. Task L, building an argument. Now bring together what you have learned throughout the unit. Choose whether you are for or against the discussion statement. Use the Building an Argument page to state your position and develop 3 clear reasons supported with relevant evidence. Use the evidence type introduced in this unit once in your argument, and identify your sources by giving the author or source title and the date. Where appropriate, try to incorporate the discussion language, vocabulary, and idioms you learned in the unit. When you have completed your notes, use them to record your spoken argument and post your recording to the Spoken Argument Forum. Do not simply read your notes, use them to help you explain your argument naturally. Finally, listen to another student's argument. Choose one point they made and record a rebuttal explaining why you disagree. Thank you for your efforts this week. See you in the next lesson.